Before the video begins, I cannot stress enough that you guys need to go watch this movie and support it. Give it your time, give it your money. I need more movies like this because this movie is amazing. If this movie flops, I will never forgive any of you.
Every couple of years, there comes along an animated movie that shocks the world with just how good it is. A movie that defines the medium through and through, taking full advantage of what animation can be, going beyond a movie, beyond a story, beyond any expectations. Movies defining generations that love seeing animation thrive and prosper. They wash you over with emotions of joy, sadness, and comfort. Watching these movies, you see colors you didn't even think existed, seeing people move in ways you never could have imagined in real life, seeing someone's vision come alive in front of you just how they imagined it. All this can be applied to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It has been 11 years. 11 years since we have seen the lovable and iconic feline grace the silver screen. From seeing him first in Shrek 2 to him eventually getting his own spin-off movie, the Shrek universe has been washed away in a seemingly forgotten state by its own studio. Despite meme culture keeping Shrek alive for years and years, its own company behind it hasn't seemed to capitalize on any of that. In fact, going the complete opposite route by tearing down old classic stinky rides in its own theme parks, all to be replaced with the dreaded yellow guy. Easy marketable demons taking the world by storm, owning the box office, and you're very conscious. In my eyes, DreamWorks has been shafted into a background studio, barely given enough support and love just so the other studios under Universal can make a lot of money. I won't even speak their name, you just have to see it on screen and say it in your head. Saying their name is a curse, and I'm not going to say it, it's a curse. But forget all of that, there used to be the days of DreamWorks. Despite having some slight bangers here and there like Secretly and Quietly in recent years, DreamWorks used to be a powerhouse, throwing out any movie you could possibly think of year after year, with Shrek being their love child. A universe full of folk and fantasy parodies with distinct skepticism and irony to let it be enjoyed by children and adults alike. It's a world so genius, so fun, that diving back into it 11 years later was just so natural. I can't tell you how happy I was to return to the world of Shrek and see this movie take everything from that series and embrace it and make its own identity. While I do think the first Puss in Boots is incredibly underrated due to some very, very funny moments, it's always lived in the shadows of Shrek just as a little spin-off with a lovable character. But this pushes past that and gives us something none of us could have ever imagined. It's a shockingly mature story of fear, anxiety, loneliness, greed, family, and death. This is what every legacy sequel should strive to accomplish. It takes on the very nature of being an old forgotten series and embeds that into Puss as a character. When I first saw ads and trailers for a Puss in Boots sequel, I was insanely confused and doubtful. I thought it would end up being another throwaway story. I thought they had some lame script lying around the office and didn't know what else to make for the time being and was just like, hey, this is make a Puss in Boots 2. But I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. I cannot believe how wrong I was. No trailer does this justice. No clip does this justice. This is a movie to be experienced, to be seen on the big screen. Puss in Boots 2 might very well be the best movie in the Shrek universe. It honestly is a little above Shrek 2 for me, and that's blasphemy. I know, that's a sin, but I have to be honest here. It is so rare for me to love a movie like this so wholeheartedly. I never thought I'd be here today rooting for this, cheering for this, screaming for this. But I promise you, with my entire heart and soul, this movie is my favorite animated movie of the year, maybe even the last 3 years. I saw a review from IGN saying that this is the Logan of the Shrek franchise, and that is one of the rare times I have to agree with IGN. The Logan of the Shrek franchise. That's such an insane statement, but it's accurate. The movie plays in this being an old beloved character, making the story having them be a shriveled, depressed, washed up old legend. It takes nostalgia and flips it on its head, having the main character itself be nostalgic of his own past and learning that things just aren't as easy as they used to be. But even that is something that they must overcome and move past. It follows Puss coming to terms with the fact that he has used nearly every single one of his 9 lives as a cat. He's been so cocky, so arrogant, not caring about the ways he's put himself in harm's way all the years, and all of that has caught up to him, leaving him to protect his last life or quite literally die. It's a story I never expected to dive further than just that simple gimmick, but I was so wrong. It takes full advantage with showing you just how precious one life can be and how one should truly embrace every second that they have on this planet. It's a story that actually dives into one's own anxiety about death, exploring the fears that it brings and how it can affect the people around you when you let it overcome you. It's just so good, man. This is a movie about a cat that feels more human than anything you have watched this year. From the very moment the movie begins, you are brought into a stylized watercolor painted world. It is the most vivid and gorgeous movie in the DreamWorks catalog. You can pull apart so many individual frames from this movie to find something distinct and stunning. It's the Spider-Verse effect on animation, the Spider-Verse style, but that style, that comic flair, is adapted to fit this world, this setting, and this theme. Whether it be the changing of the frame rates, the changing of the lighting, the over-exaggerated movements of the characters, every single second of this movie is a visual treat. They could have just kept the watercolor aesthetic and called it a day, having it play out the same way like an old Shrek movie, just looking slightly different. But no sir, no ma'am. I was crying within the first 10 minutes simply because of how happy it made my eyes. My eyes were feasting, they were consuming. I was gobbling up every frame, every color palette. Oh my god. And the action, oh baby, the action. Let me tell you, the fight choreography in Puss in Boots 2 is better than any action movie that you've seen this year. Let me tell you that the hand-to-hand combat, the sword fighting, the chase sequences, everything. Let me tell you that it's literally perfect. It's perfect. Dude, there's literally an Attack on Titan Levi on the rooftops levels of fight sequence. I mean, it's literally the opening fight sequence and it was just the intro and it gets better than that. I'm not kidding. I was gushing, gagging, crying over the animation because this is just what an animated movie should be. Animated. It takes full advantage of every aspect of the medium, every aspect, but it's not just the animation that had me going nuts. The story is immaculate. From happy moments to sad moments to scary moments, I was seated, I was enthralled, I was overjoyed, I was in love. Puss is a fully realized character with incredible depth and emotion, but not just him. Every villain that he comes across, from their designs as a character to the way they act to the things that they do, the actions of some of the villains in this movie, oh man, I don't want to spoil it. I just loved them. I loved them so much. There isn't a second wasted with anyone on the screen. There's a purpose to every moment, every frame, every tiny little thing. This is just someone's vision come to life. I have to give praise to everyone behind this, especially the director, Joel Crawford. I never saw Croods 2, but from what I hear, it's actually surprisingly a fun movie, and I'm gonna say that's probably because of his involvement. This movie just seems like someone let loose in a studio, nearly without any restriction, to just run wild with whatever idea they had to bring this story to audiences. I mean, I also just want to talk about how scary a lot of this movie is. You're gonna hear stories from moms being like, it was too scary for my little Timmy, and in 10 years kids are gonna grow up saying, OMG, that character used to give me nightmares. Just mark my words on that. The amount of times in this movie where I received literal goosebumps from terrifying moments was not something I was expecting, but I'm glad they happened. I even have to give props to the voice performances from everyone in this movie, especially Antonio Banderas. I've never felt so much emotion from an animated cat like I did in this movie. This man is going for the Oscar just by voicing Puss in Boots. Basically, I have zero complaints for this movie. I'm sure it's not perfect. I'm sure there's flaws I'm avoiding talking about, but honestly, I don't care. It has been a really long time since an animated movie has fully immersed me this way, bringing me into a world and a story and taking me on a ride I've never experienced until the credits rolled. There might be flaws and issues, but I don't care. To me, this movie is perfect and reminded me all the reasons I first fell in love with animation as a whole and what it means to be alive. If this is the future of DreamWorks, then it is a bright future ahead of them. A part of me is scared that this will flop. The theater I was in was very empty and that scares me a little, but I don't want that to be the case. This movie needs support, it needs love, it needs you. Please go see this movie, please watch it. We can't keep letting the special things fail, the ones that are filled with passion and care, the ones pushing the medium to new heights by simply giving us everything we never knew we wanted. I love this movie and I hope you love it too. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks for listening.